My brother and I had returned to the family home for the end of year festivities to celebrate as we had done year after year. I had pending to visit my dear alma mater to seek out one of the resident priests. St. John's Berkman College is a 133-year-old Jesuit institution in Belize City, where proudly 3 or more generations of family members have been educated. In reality, quite a long time had passed since I had graduated, and that day I was a little bit nervous and excited at the thought of my short visit. I walked across the fields and gardens, passed by the classrooms as a deluge of memories flooded my mind. On passing the chapel, I could not help but remember the Jesuit teacher who had visited from India and taught us to meditate on the divine presence and the experience of revelation. I finally arrived to the residence. My hands trembled a little with emotion and the uncertainty as I thought about whom might just answer the door. The memories of the small and warm residence chapel filled my mind. My thoughts were interrupted by the voice and presence of a young man whom I obviously did not know. "Hi, good afternoon." His greeting was accompanied by a big smile. "Hi," I responded. "I'm looking for Father—" He was silent for a moment, his countenance showing evident signs of internal query. "I'm not sure if he is in. Why don't you accompany me so that we can ask?" His openness and confidence surprised me. I followed him happily to the community dining room. The community had finished lunch. However, they were still at the table. The young man announced me, asking if the priest I was looking for was in. He was not. It was then that I heard the voice of one of them. It was perhaps that of the eldest of them, a thin man of erect posture, his hair completely white, or rather platinum, and with his characteristic peaceful smile as he got up, moving towards me, peering. "You are too young to be Ramon Cervantes," he said. The priest showed signs of utter confusion. I understood immediately the reason for his bewilderment as he moved closer to observe me. "I am the son of Ramon Cervantes," I said. "You were his teacher as well as my 2 younger brothers. When I was here as a student, you were in service elsewhere, and thus the reason why I did not have the honor that you should have taught me." His countenance showed great joy on solving the enigma of my identity. I knew perfectly well from my very own father's testimony the great importance that the teacher, who at that time was still a scholastic, had had in Dad's life. It was not until then that I became aware of the fact that the entire community was standing and that they had surrounded me. The great majority of them elderly men who had all been my teachers. They asked me a about my work and my life. And as I answered, I sought to look at them all. It was inevitable to not notice their faces filled with pride, satisfaction, understanding, and love. I was contained within a sphere of profound love, and their gaze was that of a father towards a son who has returned home. Their faces irradiated undoubtedly the serenity of a life of service to others, as the very motto of our educational institution stated: men and women for others. My eyes were filled with tears of gratitude, even though I still did not quite understand fully the complexity of the sublime gift they had bestowed me. On my return home, I walked slowly once more across the beautiful campus, as I had done so many times before throughout my 6 student years. The tears rolled non-stop, cleansing the most intimate corners of my being. The truth is that the major revelation of that moment did not mature until a few years later, perhaps 2 years prior to my half a century of my life adventure. It was probably one of the major life crises that finally led me to override the social pressure of criticism in regards to not being a biological father and the assumptions to my masculinity of being less a man for the decision taken. I was finally ready to continue onwards towards the halfway goal of my life, free of the feeling that I had breached the socio-cultural precepts and perhaps even to a certain extent the morals of a society and generation that questioned me and pressured me to utter, "I have engendered a child." Thanks to the encounter that day with my teachers, I understood that loving service to others, the commitment to a life project, or sharing your life with others is the essence of fatherhood. Paternity is not necessarily the result of a biological act, but rather a life endeavor. It is a calling to override schemes and learning as men the subtle art of nurturing another being respectfully and lovingly, to grow and to discover his or her very own being. As men, we too nurture in our day-to-day by compromising, by being, by companioning, by caring, by providing for, by teaching, by weeping with those we love when they hurt or fail, as well as by being happy when success, independence, and maturity is obtained. My teachers were not biological fathers, however, their lifelong sowing with hundreds and thousands of persons gave them the serenity to know themselves fathers by listening, sharing, and being happy. My return and meeting with them anew required only a few precious moments for them to transmit to me the necessary lesson for the upcoming stage in my life. Today, I can proudly see myself as a father in the ongoing process of learning and discovering a life adventure which beckons me to love and to allow myself as well as to be loved. When someone dares to break past the fear of asking me, Ramon, in truth, don't you sometimes feel that you lacked having a child? In the very same manner as my teachers, I can draw close in that state of serenity and completeness that I experience through them and smile. The legacy of knowing yourself a father is transmitted and interconnected between those of us who share the path as pilgrims of life. My personal opinion is that there is a calling to dare to learn the path of fatherhood. Some of us learn it as biological fathers, others discover it on the path of sharing life. And so, today, to you men listening, notwithstanding if you are a biological father or not, I invite you that we may mutually accompany each other for a moment of reflective silence and growth. And you who are women and perhaps also might happen to play the role of both mother and father, to accompany us as well with your loving and vital feminine energy, which is a basic catalyst in every process of growth. I ask you to close your eyes, man, woman, person, human being. You man, regardless of the characteristics of your masculinity or whether you are a biological father or not, think about the person or persons whom you share your life with, nurturing with your very own life respect, acceptance, patience, openness, decision, and love. Which are the actions that you carry out with compromise, respect, and love in the best interest of others with the desire that their lives may be better? Avoid focusing your thoughts on your spouse or partner. Rather, thinking about your children or others to whom you give. Observe and accept consciously those actions undertaken in the best interest of your children or others in the hope that they may grow or mature. And you, woman, visualize those men around you. Think of them with respect, trust, and love, carrying out actions that show sharing their lives with respect and love. Your life and your feminine presence is vital to us as men who seek to learn the subtle art of nurturing based on the vitality of our very own lives. take note of what you as a man can do to be better, to commit, giving a bit more of yourself. Acknowledge the path traveled to paternity and decide which could be those small actions that you could undertake to be even better. And finally, to each of you who is listening, I invite you to think for a moment on your biological father, as well as the faces of those men who in their very own manner have given you their respect, companioning, and love in your process of growth. Take a few moments to thank each one. I am profoundly grateful to the earthly presence of my very own biological father, my teachers, and to those of you who listen and are here. I embrace you. I thank you. I am present for you.